June 13, 2026. Just 3 days into the World Cup, and FIFA's governance of the tournament is already under intense scrutiny. Of a kind no governing body wants this early in the competition. Not from legal authorities, not from boycott campaigns, not from empty stadiums or stranded referees at airports. This time, the controversy comes directly from the football itself. It stems from a single VAR decision that halted play, confused the stadium, enraged pundits, and sent a wave of disbelief across the world within minutes. Switzerland vs. Qatar. Levi's Stadium, Santa Clara, California. 17th minute. Swiss midfielder Remo Freuler bursts into the penalty area. Qatar goalkeeper Mahmoud Abunada rushes out and brings him down. The referee immediately points to the spot, penalty. But then comes the question, was a Swiss player in an offside position in the build-up to the foul? The flag stays down. VAR checks it. The review drags on. The stadium waits. The players stand still. And in broadcast booths around the world, pundits examine the replays, reaching conclusions that, depending on who you ask, completely contradict one another. Eventually, the penalty stands. Breel Embolo steps up and converts. Switzerland lead 1-0. But the controversy is only beginning. Gary Neville studies the replays twice, then voices what millions are thinking. There is a massive question over that decision. Ian Wright reacts with disbelief, calling it scandalous. Not amused but concerned. Lee Dixon simply questions the visuals themselves. Surely my eyes aren't that bad? So what actually happened here? And why does this VAR decision matter so much beyond a single group stage match? The answer lies in the system itself. Semi-automated offside technology. A system built on limb tracking data, multiple camera angles, and 3D modeling to determine the exact moment a pass is played. In theory, it is the most accurate offside tool ever created. But in practice, when margins shrink to centimeters and frame selection becomes decisive, even precision becomes debatable. And that is exactly where Switzerland vs. Qatar, the sequence itself, the attacker's position at the exact moment Remo Freuler was brought down, was so marginal that two of the most experienced football analysts in English broadcasting examined every available replay and independently reached the same conclusion. They could not clearly see an onside decision being justified. Yet FIFA did not show the decisive freeze frame. It did not display the three-dimensional offside model that, if correct, would have visually proven how the conclusion was reached. Instead, the decision was simply announced. No visual breakdown. No transparent evidence. No explanatory frame for broadcasters or fans. And that absence is the real issue. Because the entire justification for semi-automated offside technology, the reason it was introduced, the reason it was allowed to complicate the viewing experience, and the reason VAR interruptions now stretch matches beyond their natural rhythm, rests on one principle: transparency. The system was supposed to remove subjectivity and replace it with certainty. But certainty without evidence is not clarity. It is assertion. And in this tournament, FIFA's relationship with supporters is already under strain. Gary Neville captured that sentiment directly. Fans, he said, are already distrustful of FIFA and its technology. There's a massive question mark over that, he noted. And he is not speaking in isolation. Across this World Cup, there has been a growing pattern of controversies. Logistical confusion, visa complications, ticketing anomalies, and unexplained operational decisions that have all contributed to a broader climate of skepticism. So when the VAR call arrived on June 13th, it did not land in a vacuum. It landed in an atmosphere already charged with doubt. But then, football did what football often does. It answered back on the pitch. In the 94th minute, Walem Cookie rose to meet a cross and powered a header past Jan Sommer, securing Qatar a dramatic late equalizer. It was their first ever World Cup point in history. A moment of resilience. A moment of release. A moment that ensured Qatar left the match with something tangible despite the controversy. And while the debate over VAR continues, that late equalizer cannot be ignored. It reshaped the story of the night just as much as the technology did. Now shift the scene entirely. Because on the same evening, across the country at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, another World Cup story was unfolding: Scotland vs. Haiti. Scotland's return to the World Cup marked the end of a 28-year absence, nearly 3 decades since they last appeared on football's biggest stage. Their qualification campaign had ended in dramatic fashion, sealed by 2 stoppage-time goals in their final qualifier to overtake Denmark and secure automatic qualification. For an entire generation of Scottish supporters, this was their first experience of seeing their national team at a World Cup. On the other side stood Haiti, a nation competing at only its second World Cup in history. Their first appearance came in 1974 in West Germany. Now, decades later, they arrive in a tournament hosted by a country where most of their supporters are unable to travel due to strict entry restrictions. Only a small number of Haitian fans, those already living in the United States through residency or citizenship, were present in the stands at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. The rest followed from afar, unable to attend not by choice, but by circumstance. Scotland's supporters had made long journeys of their own, some enduring 11-hour flights to be there. Locals curious about the occasion also filled the stadium, creating an atmosphere that was vibrant, but uneven in its representation. The match itself was decided in the 28th minute, when John McGinn's deflected effort looped off a Haitian defender and past goalkeeper Johnny Placid. Scotland won 1-0, securing their first World Cup victory since 1990, a gap of 36 years. Elsewhere, earlier that day, Brazil and Morocco had drawn 1-1 in New Jersey, placing Scotland unexpectedly at the top of Group C after the opening round. Back home, Scottish fans watched at 2 a.m., the consequence of a scheduling choice aimed at North American broadcast audiences. Still, millions stayed awake. Of course they did. It was the World Cup after all. But the Haiti story carries a deeper weight. They qualified fairly through CONCACAF competition, yet now compete in a country where most of their supporters cannot legally enter. The result is a stadium experience that feels incomplete, crowded, but missing the voice of the nation it represents. This match, like the VAR controversy in Santa Clara, reflects a broader pattern running through this tournament. Decisions made for institutional convenience rather than transparency or fan experience. And the question now lingers: what kind of World Cup is this becoming?